Hey guys, welcome to 2023. We're back with the Subtle Foodie Podcast. Thanks for coming in. We've got Frank. Hi, Frank.
Hi, Anthony.
Happy 2023.
Happy 23. I'm excited for this new year today.
We're on episode number 11 and here with good buddy JC Reid from Houston Chronicle. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm in the hot seat here.
I know this is a schlep up from the town.
I know
from the
my
big
way
city.
around. I know my way around.
You lived up here, right?
Yeah, I lived up here. Yeah.
He's been up here a little bit. So anyway, welcome back. We took a little break for a few months, but we're back with episode 11. So we've got JC Reid with us here. I'm going to read an intro.
Oh, boy.
This was an intro written by him himself. So we're going to see how
this is.
A native of Beaumont, JC Reid graduated from the University of Southern California. Excellent. After studying architecture and spent his early career as an architect in New York City.
Wow.
Did you build any buildings with selenium girders for Ghostbusters?
No.
He returned to Texas in 1995, retiring from architecture at a very young age, but creating his own internet business. As his business became self-sustaining, don't you love when people talk about you when you're in third person when you're in the room?
I'm thinking of how to rewrite this. To make it interesting because this is so boring.
He began traveling in Houston and the world to pursue his passion, eating barbecue.
Yeah.
Began blogging about food and barbecue in 2010 and founded the Houston Barbecue Project. Now you say Houston Barbecue Project here.
Yes.
Yeah. In 2011 to document barbecue eateries throughout the area, which we love. And you got to change this. Just last year, Reid and others founded the Houston Barbecue Festival to showcase mom and pop barbecue joints in the city. Now, this must have been written in 2013.
I don't think there's anybody left at the Chronicle who knows how to edit this like blurb.
Yes.
It's like some kind of technological backwater.
Well, to be fair, this was from your own website.
Okay, yeah. Well, it was. I'll have to go change it on there. But
let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure.
So, Barbecue Fest started in 2013. We are on the 10th year.
Yep.
Not the first.
The 2014 event drew 2,000 guests and sampled meats from 20 restaurants, but the 2022 event had 36.
No, it's about 2,500.
2,500 people, but 36
32 barbecue joints. Yeah, 2,500 people, 32 barbecue.
And it was an excellent adventure in barbecue.
I had a lot of really good help.
And little background here. That's how you and I met.
Yeah, right.
Was
2013.
In 2013 for the very first Houston Barbecue Festival at Bayou City Event Center.
Yeah, you were one of the first volunteers.
Which was a fantastic time, and we've done it ever since.
You were a lifesaver.
Now, what's crazy to me about that, Houston has been a source of excellent barbecue for how many centuries? And the barbecue
at least 2 years.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And it seems to me that we didn't have a barbecue festival until 2013.
That's a good point. I mean, barbecue in Houston goes back to, I've traced it back to the early 1900s, but the tradition of barbecue had always been a little bit, it was not as open and as promoted as it should have been for a long time.
You mean like top secret operations?
It was just kind of, it was very kind of in certain neighborhoods. It wasn't very high profile. And it traditionally was an East Texas style of barbecue, which in recent years kind of took a backseat to the Central Texas style of barbecue. So
that's one thing that we can talk about, and that's a really good question.
Central versus East.
What is Central Texas barbecue? What is East Texas barbecue? You know, there's a big difference. And then you get outside of Texas, Kansas City, Memphis, Carolinas, West Coast barbecue, things like that. Nobody likes tri-tip. Nobody likes tri-tip.
Texas, we're not prejudiced against anybody else.
Oh, we don't. Yeah, we don't. Of course not. Yeah, we're not ego.
So give us a little definition: Central versus East.
So East Texas barbecue obviously started in East Texas. It's really associated with the city of Houston because you had a lot of people who came from the South in the 1920s during a time when there were migrations, there were floods and economic issues in the South. So they came to Southeast Texas for their jobs, and that was oil. So they went to places like Beaumont, which in early 1900s, the refineries were starting to pop up. They needed people to work in the refineries. So a lot of the people brought the tradition of barbecue from the South. So from Mississippi, from Alabama, from all these different places. Oh. And it tended to be a African American style of barbecue, former slaves who originally started doing all this. And so they brought the barbecue from the South to Southeast Texas. And it was traditionally a pork-based barbecue because most of the barbecue in the South was pork-based because they mainly had pigs. So they lots and lots of pigs. So they brought it here to Southeast Texas and to East Texas, even the northern part of East Texas. But it mainly kind of settled around Houston, and it took root in many of the African-American neighborhoods of Houston. So it was an East Texas style, pork-based, also a lot of sauce, very special kind of sausage that they made, Beaumont, we call it Beaumont style sausage, which we still have today. And so Houston is really one of the only cities along, well, Memphis and Kansas City too, but it's a city that is associated with East Texas style barbecue. Right. So Central Texas style of barbecue obviously started in Central Texas around Austin. What do they have in Central Texas? They don't have as many pigs. They have beef, right? So all the ranches around Central Texas creating beef, creating cattle, producing beef in the early 1900s. And a lot of German and Czech immigrants came to that part of the state. And this was late 1800s. Where did they come through? They came through Galveston. So they actually, the Central Texas German and Czech immigrants actually went through Houston to get to Central Texas. And there's some history of German and Czech immigrants in Houston that you can look back on who stayed in Houston instead of going to Central Texas.
But you can see a lot of old school businesses that still have German names throughout the entire Hill Country region.
Absolutely. So Fredericksburg, all these cities are based on German and Czech immigrants. So they ended up in Central Texas. They bumped up against this beef cattle industry, and then they started producing raw cuts of beef. And then what happened is cotton came around. Cotton created a lot of workers who would go crisscross the state, going to different areas of the state picking cotton. They came to Central Texas. You had this influx every year of cotton workers, and they were like, how do we feed all these people? The German butchers, at the end of the week, with all the food, the beef that they have left over, the raw beef, they were like, you know what, we're going to cook this beef for the cotton workers.
Oh, nice.
And so they used their tradition of smoking, which they brought from Europe, and they created this tradition of Central Texas barbecue, which is cooked in offset smokers, traditionally beef, no sauce, and it's served with bread, pickles, and onions because the meat market was right next to the dry goods store, and the dry goods had the onions and the pickles and the bread. So workers would go and get their cooked meat on a Sunday, then they'd go next door to get their pickles, onions, and bread. They'd load it up, and then they'd go and they'd sit and they'd eat, and they'd have like their big meal for the week. And so that's the basis of Central Texas.
But smoking itself is a European technique.
It is both European and American. Specifically Native American, coming from the Caribbean. Some of the islands like around Haiti, Dominican Republic had Native Americans. Yeah, right.
I mean, my brain's exploding right now. I had no idea.
So that some of the Native Americans in the Caribbean started traditions of cooking meat using what they called barbecues, which were just kind of racks that they put the meat on, and they did direct heat. Right. And then that eventually translated to the south of the U.S., to African American, to slaves, started cooking in that tradition. That even came over to Texas. So if you look at the tradition of like the Austin colony, that's how they cooked. They cooked in big trenches in the ground, with racks on top, and then they put the big sides of beef or pigs or whatever, or lamb, on top of that. And they still, to this day, there's some places that still do it that way.
And we've seen places like the A&M barbecue summer camp, things like that. Seen pictures and the history of those big trenches being dug and racks being put and just huge sides of beef. But you bring up a great point, and we talked about this earlier, which is the fact that in certain Central Texas towns, the brisket is frankly not as good as the German influenced pork and sausage.
Right.
And there's a lot of places where
Germans take their sausage very seriously.
Very seriously.
They're very good at it.
Germans take everything seriously, but the sausage is chief among them. And going to a barbecue place that you would think is barbecue, and most people around the country, when you say barbecue, think things like brisket, things like tri-tip, things like ribs, but no, you're focused more on the sausage because that's what they're known for. That's what they've been doing so long.
Sure. Absolutely.
But outside that area, it's become.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the Central Texas, the old school Central Texas barbecue joints, like in Lockhart, like in Luling, like in Seguin, they are kind of, there's a history there, and they really can't change.
Right.
I mean, that's the luxury of these craft barbecue pitmasters is they're just starting out and they can do whatever they want. But if Kreitz Market in Lockhart or City Market in Luling, if they start doing Franklin-style brisket, holy moly, there's going to be marches in the streets.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that would be bad.
But you see, and your craft barbecue point is valid. And somebody, a barbecue joint owner who I won't say who it was, asked me the other day, are we? And I know you've been asked this question before. Are we past? And you're laughing, but are we past peak barbecue? I say that, and here's how I define peak barbecue.
Yes.
Peak barbecue was 5 years ago-ish, 4 or 5 years ago.
I would say so.
When you had the Houston Barbecue Festival, Texas Monthly Barbecue Festival, you had the Texas Monthly Top 50 issues. You had all these craft barbecue places popping up, and we know what they are. They're the Corkscrews, Tejas's, Blood Brothers in Houston. I'm thinking about it in Houston. Then you have all the Austin places, Franklin's, Micklethwait, Black Box. All these different places popping up, and that was like the height of craft barbecue.
Right.
So I'll put you on the spot.
Sure.
And are we at this point now past peak barbecue?
We are, but it's a different kind of peak that we're approaching. So this is the way that I frame it, and I've written about this. So I break down the kind of the parts of craft barbecue. You start with what I call barbecue 1.0, which is what was, in Central Texas, Kreitz, all the classic Central Texas places. Even in Houston, starting in the 1970s, you had like Burns Barbecue, you had Williams Barbecue. So this kind of initial start to barbecue, contemporary barbecue, I call barbecue 1.0.
Right.
Barbecue 2.0 is the craft barbecue peak that you talk about.
Right.
And that's when these new traditions, or not new, but
new ideas.
These new ideas, but also bringing back old traditions and old techniques to make really good barbecue.
So it was a revival as well as it was an introduction.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, good way to put it. So that's barbecue 2.0. Now I've termed it a couple of different ways. I've called it the third wave of barbecue. Some people call it barbecue 3.0, which I think is actually pretty good. But this new, after the peak, which let's call it barbecue 3.0, is much more, it's spinning off in many more directions. So is barbecue 2.0, which was craft barbecue, was mainly Central Texas focused.
Right.
Barbecue 3.0 is just spinning off in all these like crazy, interesting, diverse directions. So you've got Blood Brothers Barbecue.
Yeah.
You've got Koi Barbecue. You've got you were at Distant Relatives recently in Austin.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which fantastic kind of African American slant to Central Texas style barbecue.
And one of the best sauces. It was like a chili crunch sauce for their chicken, which was freaking incredible.
Yes.
It was literally the best thing on the tray that we had was the sauce with the chicken.
and they do like a black-eyed pea dish.
We had it. Yeah, it was great.
One of my favorite things I had in a long time.
Yeah. And oddly enough, their brisket and their ribs were good.
Right.
but not. I wouldn't put them up on any real pedestal. But the things that they did that were unique,
yes,
were both very unique and well executed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So that, to answer your question, have we reached peak barbecue? We reached peak barbecue 2.0, but I really believe we're in this new kind of realm of barbecue just kind of spinning off, and we couldn't have had this style of barbecue 5 or 10 years ago, because back then it was all about Central Texas. Right. And we went through that. We went through the peak, and everybody's like, oh, this is cool. Okay, oh, brisket. Oh, yeah, I've had brisket. Now it's spinning off, and people are trying different things, and it's a wonderful time to be a barbecue fan. Put it that way.
So let's talk a little bit about barbecue fans, and let's get back to the barbecue festival, because you and I know many barbecue fans.
Yeah, we do,
and we know them from the fact that they have learned to bring trays.
Sure.
And I don't mean a little tray. I mean, we've got one guy, and you'll know who he is. I just can't remember, who has he's got the HOU BBQ on the side of the tray. Corey
Taylor. Yeah.
And it's a big tray. And what these guys know is that when they come to the festival, which has 30 plus places, is you get in line early, and then you get in and you hit all 30 places. You get your samples, and you go sit down, and you enjoy. Right, you don't get up and down and up and down and up and down. You they've kind of learned, and so these are the barbecue fans, which are a little rabid.
It's very they've gotten very sophisticated.
Yeah, and we've shown videos of the people literally streaming in to the point where we've checked everybody's tickets, and we just let everybody in, because there's poor line management at that point when all these people are crushing for barbecue. So 2023 is going to be the 10th year.
Yep.
Right. And so Humble Civic Center. Same place, which is actually a really good location.
It's ideal, yeah. It really turned out great.
It's got a little cover. It's got a little open.
Yes.
Split the barbecue joints between the cover and the open. There's always rent or shine. There's always a place to get away. There's always a place to sit down. So what's new about 2023, aside from it being our 10th year?
Yeah, for 2023.
And I say hour. I hope I can include myself in the hour. Since
you have qualified. You were there from day one, man, and I cannot express how thankful I am to you and to all the volunteers who have been there through the years.
The volunteers do an amazing job.
Thank you to everyone who helps out at the festival. I always want to say that. So 2023 is, I guess you could go back. We're kind of moving towards that barbecue 3.0, where we are trying to bring in as many new places as possible. Barbecue is a very tradition-bound thing, as we all know, and people like their places.
Right.
And so it's hard to, it's always hard to get people to try new things, but that's one of the really important things that we do. It's one of the goals of the Houston Barbecue Festival, is to introduce people to new barbecue joints and new styles of barbecue.
While still keeping traditions alive.
And still keeping, if you want to go to your neighborhood barbecue joint 3-4 times a week and then go to a new place once a week, cool, that's all we want.
Yeah. And let me tell you, someone who's new to Houston and they hear about a barbecue festival, I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
So they're going to want to hear, all right, who are the big guys?
Yeah.
They're going to want the big guys barbecue. But then they're going to say, okay, so there's new versions of this? Oh, yeah, we have a whole new version.
Yes.
Different meats, different ideas of barbecue. And here to try it.
Exactly.
I can't imagine a more exciting cultural introduction to someone new to Texas.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly, you phrased it exactly correct. The whole idea is to introduce new barbecue joints while also celebrating the traditional barbecue joints. And it can be, it's hard to get people out of their favorite barbecue joint.
Well, look, you guys all know, and I think it was actually Eric Sandler who said this to me once. He said, I know you're a super fan of Corkscrew. And it's true, I am, and that's like my place to go, and it's because I've gotten to know them over the years. But there's something about that style of barbecue, and it's classic, it's consistent. But is it barbecue 3.0 or is it barbecue 2.0? It's 2.0.
2.0.
It's classic. It's the craft barbecue that grew up in that point from someone who just kind of picked it up and started doing that. And so what are the places now, and we've mentioned a couple of them, Blood Brothers and Koi,
sure,
that are 3.0 that people in Houston need to try?
Well, the thing about 3.0 is it's so new that only a few places have brick and mortar. So like Blood Brothers is one of the first to really, they were doing pop-ups back during the peak of 2.0 in, parking lots of bars. And we were going to check them
Parking
out.
lots of karaoke bars.
Karaoke bars, yeah.
Ouch.
And, but they were killing it. And, it was only a matter of time before they did a brick and mortar, which they did, which they're in Bel Air. You definitely want to go there. Very comfortable, very Houston vibe, atmosphere, barbecue, definitely recommended.
But that's accessible. And when I say accessible,
sure.
And we talked a little bit about, who are the people who are looking for these things? Are they super foodie, super fans, or are they everybody? And is that food accessible to them? Meaning it's not so different that it's going to put them off the taste.
And that is the thing about Blood Brothers is they've got the Texas Trinity. I mean, they got brisket, they got pork ribs, they got sausage. If that's what you want, that's what they got.
Right.
But if you want any of their like bao buns stuffed with pork belly. I just named. They have what's called a Ripper hot dog.
Oh yeah. Is that the bacon wrapped one?
That's the bacon wrap. Nice. Traditionally, it's a twist on the Sonoran hot dog, which is really underrated. Man, people need to make more.
They're so hard to find here.
They are hard.
But
to find,
if you ever go to like Arizona, New Mexico, like that area, go find a freaking Sonoran hot dog.
Yes,
they're so good.
Yeah, basically a bacon wrapped hot dog. Right?
Yeah.
Put bacon around anything, it's going to taste good.
Well, it's the one meat that upgrades all other meats.
Yeah,
right.
True.
It is. And a long time ago, you could go to some of the flea markets around Houston, and they had the best Sonoran hot dogs. That's where I first tried them. So I thought it was really genius for Blood Brothers to make a Sonoran hot dog. They're using bread from their new bakery collaboration, Lulu's Bakehouse.
Oh, right.
Lulu's Bakery. And they make this ghost pepper jelly that they string on top instead of it's kind of a mustard base, but it's got ghost pepper. It's not that hot, but it's got steamed syrup. So it's sweet and it's salty and it's hot.
So I'm going to say they were drinking soju excessively when they came up with this, which we know of them.
Probably
that is a thing.
Probably at the festival.
Somebody brought bacon out to the festival overnight, and they were cooking that. Yeah,
right. So they are what we would say is, like you say, it's very you can get both the traditional and the new stuff, and other places are still kind of getting there. Koi Barbecue doing spectacular pop-ups. They've recently bought a brick and mortar. They're starting to get ramped up there. JQ's Tex-Mex Barbecue. Tex-Mex has been a whole another kind of barbecue 3.0. So JQ's doing a farmer's market at Rice University. He's going to be there this Sunday. I'm going to go check it out. But he's doing the birria tacos, which, again, like Sonoran hot dogs, been around forever, but he just kind of took it and ran with it and made it his style and became known for it. And that's what you have to do when it's like so many barbecue joints have been opening. So it's really that tradition. And then, we were talking about Distant Relatives, which was an African-American kind of take or style, Southern U.S. style. There's even an Ethiopian place that Daniel Vaughn wrote about up in Dallas that has like an Ethiopian take to Central Texas barbecue.
That'd be awesome if they do the big flatbread.
Yes,
what's it called? I can't remember the name. No, it's not naan. It's something. Something similar.
So there's just a lot of things kind of bubbling up, and like you say, the challenge is to get people out of their comfort zone,
right?
And that's one of the goals that I've tried to accomplish through what I do with barbecue is I always try to expand the audience. So me and you and soon you to become a barbecue, you're going to be a barbecue.
We can indoctrinate you into the barbecue world.
That's not a hard job, you understand.
No,
in fact,
actually, it's a very hard job because you have to eat so much. It's exhausting.
Right. My challenge is having enough time to hit all the barbecue places I want to go.
Which is great. That's the great thing about the festival is you get all of the best 30 barbecue joints all in one place at one time for one price.
We'll get you a 10% off ticket.
The benefits.
We'll get you a discount code.
General admission, though.
But the thing is that in the barbecue universe of the barbecue, whether you call them barbecue nerds or barbecue cognoscenti or the barbecue connoisseurs,
I guess we can't say barbecue snob anymore because Daniel owns that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think that's a good one for him.
Connoisseur has the proper snobbery appeal.
Yeah, that's
when
right.
you say connoisseur.
Barbecue connoisseur.
Because what the hell do the French know about barbecue?
Not much.
Yeah, that's right.
It's only chance.
Wait a second. No, well, we got to go back on that because the French do know barbecue.
Yeah.
What is
duck?
You and I are both trying to remember the name of the guy in Paris who came to the festival. The Beast, thank you, and opened in Paris. It's his classic Texas, and he toured around. And he learned all sorts of different. And this is someone who wanted to open a place in Paris, came through Texas, came to the festival, came through other places, and learned all sorts of different barbecue.
He worked with West Arena at Papa Charlie's. He actually did a little tour there. But there are some barbecue joints in Paris.
There you
go. So connoisseur may be the correct word.
Yeah.
I have stumbled upon knowledge.
But the most important thing to remember is that the world of the barbecue connoisseur like us is very small.
Correct.
And there's this massive...
But we're in Texas.
But there's this massive audience of people who just like to go eat barbecue. They don't like to talk about barbecue or debate barbecue.
There's a lot going on in barbecue to talk about.
I know. So the main thing is try to let people know that if they want to become a barbecue connoisseur, it's certainly possible to do that. But you know what, people, incredible to believe this, but some people are like, hey, I got a family. I got other stuff to do.
I've got things to do.
I got a job.
I can't go to barbecue joints all the time.
And it's funny you say, because I've loved barbecue my entire life. Born and raised in rural Alabama. And
great barbecue.
But at the same time, as you mentioned, it was always an African-American dish in my world growing up.
Right.
We had a maid who worked for us. My mother could never duplicate her fried chicken and could never duplicate her barbecue, but it was always sauce-based.
Sure.
So it wasn't until I came to Texas, and when they said, we're going to Black's Barbecue, I got all excited. And I'm like, where's the sauce?
No sauce.
Not going to get it there.
No sauce.
Sure.
But when I had it, I thought, that was the first time I thought, oh God, this is meat that doesn't need sauce.
Well, the flavor comes from this rub, flavor comes from the smoke.
But my point is, that was the first time I learned that, you don't have to have sauce to have barbecue.
Although I do love a good Alabama white sauce on chicken.
But that was, that was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
When I learned this, and it was eye-opening, and only because I came to Texas that I discovered, there's more than just. I thought Texas barbecue was just one thing.
Yeah.
And then I get here, and there's so many layers, so many divisions, so many specificities to it, that I was like, okay, I've apparently been missing out, and so I've felt the need to catch up ever since.
So let's talk. We talked a little bit about France. We talked a little bit about Alabama, and both of those are travel places where you have to travel to get to from here. And so you started blogging really about travel.
Travel, personal blogging, travel.
Yeah.
Then Houston food for the Houston Press. Yeah. So it was mainly food because travel blogging is a very non-profitable thing for. There many years ago, they would throw money at travel writers.
Back in the day.
Not anymore.
Because there's too many of you?
It's a dime a dozen.
Word got out.
Anybody can pick up a camera and a laptop and say, hey, this place is pretty
Would you like to send me to Bali and I will do an article for you for a week?
It does still happen occasionally, but not like it used to be. Yeah. So there wasn't, I like to write about travel, but there wasn't much of a demand for it from newspapers and that sort of thing.
Someone once said everybody has an opinion and often a story about food.
Yeah.
Everyone does.
Sure.
He said that.
Well, you should write.
Did I say that?
You said that.
You were brilliant.
You're throwing quotes at me that I'm not recognizing.
You said that. So
2010 or
so it actually was. So the very first barbecue place you wrote about, you said everyone has an opinion and often a story about food.
Okay. Yep. That's a good quote. Yeah.
It's a great quote. So the very first barbecue place you wrote about, at least that I could find, was JB's Barbecue in Orange.
Wow. Yeah.
2009.
That's probably correct.
A few years ago now.
Wow.
And the most recent place you've posted about is Interstellar, which is in Austin, and we talked about that a little bit, and how a barbecue 3.0, right?
Yeah, from 1.0 to 3.0.
1.0 to 3.0.
Interstellar qualify as a 3.0 restaurant?
Big time. Yeah.
So let's talk about it.
Interstellar, guy named John Bates, traditionally kind of a traditional background in cooking, being a chef, and just got into barbecue. And that's happening a lot. Chef-driven barbecue joints are definitely part of the 3.0 tradition.
And Tejas was the same way.
Of course, yeah. Greg Moore, of course, Greg Moore.
Had Greg as a traditional chef. And interestingly enough, I was at Tejas the other day.
Yeah.
And I go to Tejas. I told Greg this. I go to Tejas because of their unique takes on things.
Absolutely.
It's not just. I didn't even order any brisket while I was there. I ordered their chili relleno sausage because it's so freaking good. Their pork belly and their burnt ends, and then like the carrot souffle and the cornbread casserole.
Yep.
Cornbread casserole I could take or leave, but the carrot souffle is very unique among all Houston barbecue joints.
Now, having been to Tejas Barbecue and Chocolate, everything you listed, that sounds like $150 barbecue bill you had.
It was a quarter pound of each, so it was only $100. No, it was less than that.
No,
but
it's not a cheap place to eat.
But frankly, no barbecue places are cheap places to eat. I think
restaurant.
Anymore.
I mean,
no restaurant.
I mean,
the contents, the cost of ingredients that we've talked about in previous podcasts, the costs have not slowed down or stopped increasing since we had our last podcast.
Well,
it's only gotten worse.
I was at Corkscrew talking to Will Buckman, and I said, how are you guys doing on meat costs and input costs for your stuff? And he said, well, the meat cost is kind of stabilized, when it comes to brisket and things like that, but they're still one of the lowest at brisket per pound prices. And he said at $29, and I'm thinking to myself, Jesus. 5-10 years ago, nobody would ever have thought of a $29 a pound brisket.
No.
Now they're using a premium product, Creekstone,
still,
but still, I mean, it's difficult to go to a barbecue place, and you're never going to find
when I was an
inexpensive meal. I think
when I was a child, swordfish was $10 a pound, and that was the most exclusive, expensive thing you could ever consider buying.
But could you barbecue swordfish?
Of course, you can barbecue anything.
Yeah. You can barbecue if you believe in yourself. You can barbecue anything.
If you believe in yourself.
Sorry. So I want to get back to your story.
Yeah, sure.
So everybody's got a story. So I want to know what your best food story is.
Wow, best food story. Wow.
No pressure.
Well, let me change it up a little. Food story, food experience.
Okay.
Because you've eaten it much like me.
Or at least interesting.
You've eaten it many places.
Memorable. How about the most memorable?
Let me do a memorable.
Okay, memorable.
Okay, so not many years, maybe 6-7 years ago, before Texas Monthly had a taco editor. They did.
Editor?
Yeah, Texas Monthly has a taco editor, just like they have a barbecue editor. Now they have a taco editor. Jose, who's a great guy, does great work. Before he was there, they still did like the best tacos in the state. Again, tough job, but somebody's got to do it. So
somebody has to go to
So Pat Sharp called me and said, "Hey, do you want to handle the tacos in Houston?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm up for a challenge." Now, I don't know. Again, like barbecue, if you're a taco connoisseur, it's a very small. It's a small group of people, but I mean, if you go anywhere in Houston, every block there's a taco joint, there's a taco trailer, there's
every
something.
block. Yeah.
So to get a comprehensive understanding of tacos in Houston is almost impossible. Fortunately, I knew a lot of people who ate tacos all the time. Jay Rasco, Guns and Tacos. And we kind of picked the most promising neighborhoods to go and check out tacos, right? So that was a good plan. one of the places...
A plan always works until you execute the plan.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
That's happened at taco stands.
Oh, well, I'm going that direction. So one of the places that we kind of pointed out was a flea market on Airline Drive. And the flea markets, again, are like, there's some you can go to and there's some you probably shouldn't go to. And there's some...
Well, as a rule of thumb, the trashier the neighborhood and the less English spoken, the better the taco.
Well, this on Airline Drive, I mean, massive flea market. You've been there.
Yeah,
you've been there. Okay. And
was a massive flea market. Now,
they've done stuff to it?
Majorly gentrified.
Well, that's
really.
I'm talking.
Or are you talking about a different
I'm
one?
talking northern.
You're northern. Okay. So we're not talking about. Yeah,
we're not talking
I know what you're talking
Caninos.
about. Yeah,
Caninos is different.
Yeah.
If you go north of the Loop,
north
you
of
go north of the Loop, and you actually go north of 45 or to the east of 45.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
massive. Huge flea markets down there that have. That's where I had the Sonoran hot dog for the first time.
I'm writing that down.
And
I'm going there.
Market.
And so that was pointed out as a place that's going to have some good tacos. And there was this one place that was they use what are called blue corn tortillas, so it's special kind of tortilla. But it was these flea markets start on Airline, and then there are these big barns that just go perpendicular, and they go for like a quarter of a mile.
Wow.
And so this taco place was at the very end of the flea market. So we had to drive down an alley all the way down to the very back of the flea market, find it, and we were taking pictures. And that was a no-no.
Oh.
Getting a camera out at this particular flea market, which shall go unnamed,
That's your first challenge. Huh?
It was taking pictures was not recommended, and so people started pointing at us, and we're like, "Hi, hey, how you doing? Yeah, thanks for having us. Yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah, we are who you think we are. Yeah.
So they started pointing at us, and
did you hear the term polizia?
No, there were no polizia back there. They all of a sudden, guys in golf carts and sunglasses started rolling towards us, and we're like, okay.
Did they speak English?
Nobody was speaking English.
Oh, yeah. So you know you're in a good taco place, but...
Yeah. So we were like, maybe this is our cue to leave. And so we got up.
Can't make this up.
And our car was 5-10 minutes away, and we just kind of we walked like duck walk or
like a run,
power walking.
And the taco lady was talking to the sunglass guy.
Oh god.
And we were like, man, we're gonna just get disappeared back here.
So you've taken up long distance running habits.
Yeah, we may end up having to run back to Airline Drive. So got in the car, we get back onto the alleyway, which is on the side of the barn, and it's all like speed bumps. So we're like,
you can't go fast,
and then we hit the gas, and we go to the next speed bump, we hit the brakes, and we go over the speed bump
for a quarter of a mile.
And then
the longest quarter mile of your life.
Yeah, we're looking in the rearview mirror. I think we got away. And then the golf cart sunglasses guy, we see him up front, and he kind of pulls.
It's like a scene from like James Bond where you're going this way and you see the police over here coming this way.
The police are like parallel. Golf cart sunglass guy.
Stop braking, just key on.
Yeah, so
we'll buy new wheels later. Go.
Yeah, we were just we were getting out of there, man, because there was no. If we were stopped, we were not coming back. So
wow.
So we got to Airline Drive. We pulled down Airline. I have not been back since. I know my picture is up on the walls all over the place over there. So you end up learning. It's just the way it is. Yeah. It's nobody's saying anything's bad.
But if you survive the learning experience, you can have a good taco.
If you know which airline flea market to go to, some are good, some are safe. Some you don't go to. Yeah. And it's just you have to learn which one.
Yes. Beware these sunglasses in golf
Learn the hard. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way. Sometimes you.
Yes. So never been back. Never going to go back to that one. But that was
the real question is: was the taco good?
The taco was fantastic.
All I can think about is like, well, how good was the taco?
Yeah,
I want to know.
The taco was spectacular.
I might take the risk.
Did it make the list?
It did not. I had a long conversation. I told the story.
Because you would have had to go back there.
No, we were like, are we going to send Texas Monthly readers to this place?
Oh, God. Yeah, probably not a good idea.
And
so it's watching white people with phone cameras going, hey.
It's like, should we or should we not?
Some Instagram influencer, food blogger with their camera and their lights and their gimbal, and
absolutely would have shown
probably
up.
not a great idea.
They absolutely would have shown up. So yeah, we ended up leaving them off. It was a fantastic taco. I still wonder if they're still there, but that was very
okay. So memorable. I wrote that down for a Sonoran hot dog, but I'm going to cross it off the list now.
Yeah,
probably
skip the blue corn taco.
So that taco was both life-changing and life-threatening.
Life-threatening, yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
That's a hell of a taco in my world.
That's a very good way to put it. So
I love a good story like that, and I'm so glad you're back.
Yeah, I was like,
safe.
Is my iPhone? Does it have like Find My iPhone on this thing? Nice. And anyway.
So one of the articles you wrote, the first article you wrote for the Chronicle, May 2014, was what defines good barbecue.
Sure.
Yeah. So I have your answer that you posted then.
Yep.
But I'd like to hear your answer now.
Absolutely.
And we will compare and contrast.
To be held against you in a...
No. We will just compare and contrast because as we all know, food, travel, stories, experience, barbecue is all a learning experience.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think what I said back then. I know I said...
Would you like me to let you know what you said back then? Or I'd like to hear your other answer first.
Well, I know I said it's a smoked process. That is the definition of barbecue. Although many other barbecue, traditions are direct heat.
Well, to be fair, the question was... what defines great barbecue?
Okay, that's a great... Well, you know what my answer is, probably.
I do.
Another level then, yeah.
And I don't even know if I said that in the piece, but what defines great barbecue is consistency. If you can make great barbecue at volume, day in and day out, you have learned the secret of barbecue.
Well, you're a master at that point, and you have a restaurant.
But the thing is... even if you're a master, even if you figured it out, you're still going to miss some days. Mm-hmm. For instance, if it's bad weather, if it's if the air, there's the humidity in the air.
Yeah, it sure does.
Depends on how hot the fire is going to burn. You have to know when to take the meat off. You need to know where to place the meat in the smoker if the fire is burning.
Because they're notoriously fickle. They're usually outside. They're usually subjected to the weather, the elements. Is it raining? Is it cold? Is the wind blowing in the right direction?
Exactly.
To feed the firebox versus push the wind the other way.
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. So I think that that is definitely, I don't know if did I say that in the first one?
You said, and I will give you more credit for the answer now because the answer now shows so much more learning.
Okay.
The answer then was barbecue is less about definitions and more about what you like, which I think is still true.
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
I think is still true.
Oh, yeah.
Because what you define, what I define, what you define, what Frank defines as good barbecue is what we like.
Yeah.
That's the thing you're going to eat.
But the universal components of that are, you're looking for good meat.
Yep. Right.
Prepared properly.
Yeah.
Good technique. Yeah.
After that, it's just a matter of flavor.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but consistency is such a key point because you want to have this place in your head, and you want to tell your friends, and you want to bring your friends, and if you bring your friends, and you say this is the greatest barbecue joint in the world, and you bring your friends, and they're having an off day,
right?
That consistency has gone. So yeah, you could be a master, you could do this all the time, but if you can develop a process for consistency,
right,
it's so much. The experience is so much better.
Absolutely.
Well, very often the difference between an amateur and a master or a pro, an amateur will do it over and over until it's right, but a pro has figured out how to do it to where it can never be wrong. Which is the definition.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part about barbecue is there's so many factors.
You have to take into consideration during the process.
I don't know how some of the places do it, like Corkscrew. I mean, Franklin, Corkscrew.
Corkscrew is my definition of consistency.
Yeah.
And I have spent many, many hours standing in that pit room, talking to Will and learning and asking questions and what is it about the consistency and how does that work?
Yep.
How is it always the same?
How are you compensating for all these factors?
Yeah, and I mean, trust me, there's a long process that goes into it that he's developed over years and years and years.
Sure.
And one of the interesting things that we talked about the other day was the fact that he's one of the very few places that uses plastic wrap.
Yeah, sure.
When the brisket comes off.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, well, we've never heard of that. You don't do that because it seals in the moisture to the point where it could affect the quality, but never had that issue at Corkscrew.
No, that's not unusual.
Where people are, banking on peach paper and all these other things, which are, somebody said it once that peach paper was the way to go, and people started doing that. And
once it works, it'll never change.
But consistency is just the ultimate.
Never had a bad experience at Corkscrew. It's really quite amazing.
Yeah, and I say that because that's where I go a lot.
Sure,
but there's plenty of other places.
Oh, absolutely.
Louis Mueller, which I consider my absolute gold standard for Texas barbecue.
Sure.
Like it is to me, and again, this is about what I like, right? The gold standard for Texas barbecue. It is always precisely consistent. Every time I go there, I know exactly what I'm going to get.
Sure.
Because I know it's going to be consistent every single time, no matter who's there.
Sure.
Whether it's Wayne or whether it's anybody else who's cooking, I know that it's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a very small handful of places that have figured it out. But you know what? If somebody's off a day here or there, like you say, you know what? They work hard, give them a break.
Yes.
But like you say, if you take your family there and you play it up like, hey, this is the best barbecue, and they have an off day, it's like,
Yeah. But any restaurant, really.
That can be any restaurant, anywhere.
So we had a tremendous barbecue discussion. We're going to move on to something else.
Oh, boy.
So I warned you about this.
Yeah, right.
This is the questionnaire.
Okay.
So this is shamelessly ripped off from Inside the Actors Studio, which was hosted by James Lipton for so many years, which in turn was also shamelessly ripped off from a TV show called Apostrophes by Bernard Pivot, which again, if you don't know this, was also ripped off by the original Proust questionnaire by Marcel Proust.
My man,
so that's where it came from.
Man, we're going way back.
We're going way back. So it's 8 questions.
Okay. Yeah,
first question off the top of your head. Just answer what you think. And this first question is a dumb question. What is your favorite food?
Favorite food is Roman pasta.
Ooh.
Carbonara.
I'm going to ask you the question. Where do you get it in Houston?
I make it.
Perfect. I'm going to say that was a very political answer because I didn't call anybody out
statement
on that. It was a very bold statement. What is your least favorite food?
Anything like tuna salad-ish or canned tuna, I get nauseous.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't.
I don't like canned tuna.
It's very odd. I just can't deal with it.
What chef inspires you the most? I'm going to say what chef/restaurant because you deal with both.
I mean, in terms of inspiration, man, that's a good one. I would say my wife and I, Tamara, took a trip to Spain once. We went to a place called Mugaritz, which is a very polarizing place. But it was just really an interesting place. And I can't remember the chef's name, but the chef at Mugaritz, he's one of these kind of, magician type chef guys.
Molecular
yeah.
Guy, yeah.
Really interesting.
Stuff off his elbow.
and then you eat it.
So you eat it while it's still on his elbow. That's the biggest thing.
So just off the top of my head, just a chef that I think is really interesting. I think it would be whatever that guy's name is. Yeah.
What sound or noise do you love?
So we were just in Sonoma for my wife's birthday, and we were in this beautiful Airbnb. And it, as you probably know, it rarely rains in that area, or not very often. But one Sunday we were there, and it was just kind of a downpour, and the sound of the rain in this house, we had all the doors open. one of the most just relaxing experiences. Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yep.
So conversely, what sound or noise do you hate?
Maybe you can talk to this, but the guys in the big trucks, and can't you buy like things that you put on the trucks and you can choose what kind of sound comes out of the truck's exhaust?
Yes, they're called electric.
Okay, yeah, that it would be that.
Okay, the annoying truck sounds.
Annoying, like loud, like I'm a really important guy.
Like annoying exhaust sounds. Is that
Are
what
you
you're talking
referring
about?
to like the diesel guys? Because they tend to.
The rolling smoke guys.
Yeah, the rolling smoke guys.
Those are the worst. They embarrass everyone.
Worst.
Yeah, so yeah.
The worst kind of smokers.
Yeah, so that
diesel
annoys
smoke
me.
does not work on barbecue.
No, keep it away from
that. And pine. Don't use pine. What is your favorite curse word? I don't think I've ever heard you. Oh, yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure.
What is your favorite curse word? I think I know what it is.
F-stick.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's
Interesting.
off the top of my
that's a
head.
good one.
Yeah,
That's a good one. I think I have heard you say that before.
Yeah.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I've had several professions in my years.
We'll assume anything that you haven't done. So, architect, travel blogger, barbecue guy,
internet guy.
internet guy.
Yeah. If I had to go back, it would either be, I would be like a geneticist, like an archaeological geneticist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like the guys who take
A paleogeneticist.
Paleogeneticist. Yeah, I think that's fascinating.
By the way, have you seen Jurassic Park Dominion?
It's on my list.
It's the new paleo bio. You might like it.
It's hard to keep up with all the Jurassic.
The only
Parks.
thing that I love about it is that it brought back. This is totally off topic. It brought back Ian Malcolm,
cast,
Dr. Sadler, and Dr. Grant, all of them with the new guys. What's his name?
Brad Pitt. I mean, Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
Chris Pratt and the woman I can't remember.
Okay, all right, I'll put it on the list.
And then the last question: what would be in your last meal?
Ooh.
My wife thinks this question is morbid, but I think it's very telling.
No. It would be something from either Southeast Texas or Southwest Louisiana. Something along the lines of gumbo, boudin, fried catfish, something cracklins, etouffee.
You want to taste the land in which you live.
Yeah, right. Where I grew up.
I mean, because the food is culture has been passed through food.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I've always said food is culture. Culture is food. I mean, that's the way.
No argument.
That's the way it goes.
In history, these ingredients carry. I mean, just engaging in barbecue, you're engaging in a tradition that, just in our brief discussion, goes back centuries and crosses continents.
Yeah,
sure, absolutely. So yeah, something in the Cajun Creole genre.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a good eating, chef.
Well, this was great.
Yeah,
thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I'm so glad to have you as our returning guest. I can't wait for the festival. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Festival is on April
2nd, Sunday, April 2nd.
Get your tickets at houbbq.com.
Right. Yep.
You can get VIP passes. You can get general admission passes. VIP gets you in an hour early, plus some swag.
Yep.
I will say, if they're not already sold out,
they're getting there.
They're getting there. I would say if you were going to get tickets, it is worth it to get the VIP ticket. And the reason why I say that is because you get in an hour early and you can hit all these places. And frankly,
bring your tray.
You can bring your tray. You can get in an hour early. You can eat everything and then be gone by the time the GA gets it.
Happens all the time.
And that's, if you want a pro tip from people who know, that is the way to do it.
Yep.
So we're going to have 30 plus barbecue joints. Humble Civic Center, St. Arnold's is our beer sponsor, right?
Yep.
It's covered, so it's covered / uncovered, plus tents, rain or shine, lots of seating.
Yep.
Lots of seating, lots of parking. Very easy to get to from Houston or anywhere around.
You can use your tray to protect you from the rain.
You can use your tray if it doesn't have barbecue on it.
Food when you get there.
So thank you, JC
Thank you
Reid, for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks for having me, and thank you for all the help over the years, man.
No,
it would not be the same.
You know me,
without you.
I'm always happy to do it. Rodeo barbecue's coming up.
Oh yeah, right.
It's barbecue season's getting ready to start.
Season, yeah.
So go out there and enjoy your barbecue.
I got to meet a legend today, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Who's that? You.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Subtle Foodie Podcast.